Welcome my friends, this is Maniacal Incorporated, and today I am going to take a look at what I consider to be one of the most important and most influential games in video gaming history. This is a game that is famous for the depth and complexity of the simulation that it contains, and for the amazing stories that have emerged from playthroughs of this game. However, it is also famous for its sheer inaccessibility. Dwarf Fortress was released in 2006, and in the next couple of days, it's been in active development for the last 16 years, but in the next couple of days, it's coming to Steam. And I put up a poll on the channel recently asking who was hyped for its release. Now, we didn't get a huge amount of votes, but of the people who voted, a substantial number asked, what's Dwarf Fortress? So I want to do this video as a look back at just how inaccessible this game can be, even with the Lazy Newb Pack installed, which I'll be using, but how inaccessible it is and why it's famous for its inaccessibility, but also, hopefully, to generate some hype amongst the viewers of the channel. If you haven't heard of this before, do go and give it a wish list on Steam and think about picking it up. Now, I'm not going to go into a big long history of the game because we'll be here all day. I'm going to link to some videos from Blind, who's a very big Dwarf Fortress content creator on YouTube and on Twitch. He kind of did a history of the game recently. NoClip has done a documentary on the game. But if we look very quickly at some of the games that have been influenced by it, Minecraft was basically an attempt to create a 3D Dwarf Fortress. We're going to see a lot of the mechanics in this game have been taken wholesale across into things like RimWorld. RimWorld is again an attempt to create a Dwarf Fortress with a better UI, a more accessible Dwarf Fortress. We're going to see the procedurally generated world, the procedurally generated civilizations, the attempts at procedurally generated book titles, procedurally generated artifacts. This is something that is being continued in Caves of Qud, very heavily influenced by what's happening here in Dwarf Fortress. And this game also includes an artifact system, so your dwarves can build artifacts, named artifacts that are influenced by things that they have witnessed in the world, or by legends that they have heard. These artifacts can be owned by people, they can be lost, they can be fought over. You can send missions to go and steal artifacts from other fortresses. There's a memory system. So much like in RimWorld, your dwarves can become angry if they sleep outside in the rain, or if they have to drink beer without a goblet. This can make them angry. They can go into tirades and try and kill everybody in the fortress. But there's also the ability for them to build relationships with each other and to remember having something mean being done to them by another dwarf, so they can build kind of rivalries. This artifact and memory system has recently been incorporated into Crusader Kings 3. So it's not just a couple of colony builder games that have been influenced by Dwarf Fortress. Its influence is everywhere. And we're going to see that now in a couple of minutes. You're going to see the systems that this game includes. If you haven't seen it before, you're going to see the systems that this game includes, and you're going to recognize them from a lot of other games. I can hit enter right now to start playing. I've already created a world as a bit of a test, but because I don't play a huge amount of this, I have watched far more content than I have played. I do enjoy playing this, but you need time, because you're going to spend most of your time on the wiki trying to figure out how to smelt metal and how to make soap. I want to show you what the world creation looks like. We're going from scratch. So what's going to happen is it's going to ask us to basically set the parameters of the world that we want to create. So we have a world size of medium. I'm going to leave all the defaults as they are. So you might think, well, this is something like RimWorld. The difference here is that it's going to create the world to all the specifications from the first and the third options down, and it is then going to allow that world to evolve over a period of time. So at the moment it's set to 250 years. We could set it up to 1050 years. And it will basically procedurally generate a history over that time period. I've never done this. It will shut your PC down. More than likely, Blind made a great comment recently that because of the graphics, the game will run on any PC, it just won't run well on any PC. It doesn't matter how powerful your PC is. You're going to start suffering performance issues after a while. I'm going to put it to a short history, 125 years, and we are going to hit Y to begin the process. And here's the world. Zuza Ulzul. I don't know, is that the name of the world, or is it's the domain of legend. And it is now creating the world. We're into the year 67, 68, 69. Nice. We could have hit enter to stop it and played at the peak of civilization in the year 69. You can see over here, roads are being built. So time is moving on. 30 years has just passed in the blink of an eye. Civilizations have risen and fallen. 13,000 figures have been born. 5,000 of them are dead across approaching 90,000 events in this world of Zuza Ulzul. So what it's doing is it kind of makes the geography very quickly, and then kind of begins proceeding with all of the things. When you've spent years looking at this, it begins to make sense. You can probably figure water, grass of some make, shape, or form, mountain range. This stuff here is a haunted region. I think this might be a necromancer tower. We're gonna check now in a couple of seconds. I'm not too sure, is this a volcanic region? And here is ice, and here's where our X is currently hovering, down in the confining tundra. So what we can do is we can move to the left, and we can just start looking around part of the world very quickly. Here is the Dark Goblin Fortress of Uztuksta, in a region called the Sooty Blizzard. So you can see where the X is, and it's hovering just next to that. It's basically, might be a necromancer tower, or it might be where goblins live. The goblins will come out from there and attack things nearby. What else have we? Over here, we have the Dwarven Fortress of Sherik Zazit in the Spines of Sculpting. So we're going to pick a place to embark. We want to stay away from these purple regions, like I said, or these kind of pink regions, because that's where the bold things live. The bold things, and they will... Oh, the bold things will come for you. Here is a different goblin fortress, and we can see another goblin fortress over there to the left. We see lots of dwarven settlements around this mountain range. I could just stay in here for the rest of my life, but we won't. I'm going to hit enter to accept this world, the domain of legend. And what it's now going to do is it's going to kick us back out to the main menu. So we're back here on the main menu, and we can now hit enter to start playing in the world that we have just created. There is Tet Harid, which is a previous world that I was playing in. So you could have multiple worlds, but we are going to go for Zuza Ulzul. And we have 3 different options. Legends mode would allow us to basically look at all of those, I think was it 20,000 historical figures? We could get biographies of them. We could look at the civilizations that exist in the world. We could look at the artifacts that exist in the world. We could get descriptions of those artifacts. Legends mode basically allows you to look at the entire history of the world that has been created. And like I said, I'm using the Lazy Newb Pack. That has utilities that allow you to kind of look at that history in a much easier way. We're not going to get into that today. Adventurer mode is basically Caves of Cod. It allows you to become an adventurer in the world that we have just created. We could go to those 2 goblin towers that we saw and try and beat up some gobos. We could go to that dwarven fortress that we saw, go to the tavern there, meet with the people, talk to them, share stories. what we're going to do is we're going to do Dwarf Fortress mode. We build a fortress. After a couple of years, we could retire the fortress. We could then go into Legends mode and look at the legends of the people who lived in the fort that we're about to create. If, and it will happen, your fort falls to a goblin invasion, or something comes up from the caverns below and wipes out your entire fortress, the fortress falls to ruin, you could go into adventure mode, and you could travel to the ruins of the fortress that you built, and you could search for artifacts that your dwarves had built. My head is spinning. So here is the calendar. Now you always start kind of 15 days. So you're going to start 15 days into the month of Granite. If our fortress collapses and we start a new fortress, so we're starting in the year 125. Let's say our fortress survives for 2 years and then we abandon it. We could then continue on with the next fortress in the year 127, but 15 days after the last one fell. So here is the region selection. We're going to select where we're going to have our fort. And this is another reason why I really enjoy playing Dwarf Fortress. It's as close to reading Matrix code as you will get. We have 4 things to look at. I just do want to mention quickly, these maps are absolutely beautiful. One of these is in the Museum of Modern Art in America, because, again, just of how staggering the process is of creating these worlds. In the top right, it tells us where we are looking at the moment, and it tells us what resources we might get. Here is the world map. This is the entire world. Here is a zoomed in part of the region on pretty much the X. So this region, you can see this kind of peninsula here is this peninsula here. And this kind of central part is this central part here that we're looking at. So this is the world map, this is the region map, and then this is the local map. And as of right now, this 4x4 square is where we would be settling. So these kind of triangles represent a mountain range. This blue represents a brook called the Fragrances of St. I'm sure it has a longer name. This region here, or this local region, is temperate. It has no trees, where we're actually hovering in at the moment. Other vegetation and surroundings. So what I can do, to move around the local map, I use UMKH. So I can just move up a bit. And you can see it's now telling us that we have woodland trees, it's wilderness, there's sand, there's a little soil, there's deep metals and flux stone layers. What I can do then is I can move left and right. So going left will move 1 square left on the region and 0, I think, on the world. I think every 2 squares on the region is equal to 1 square on the world map. I actually have no idea. We can see here on the local map now there is a fortification, Cafe Paharalapala, and we can't settle there. It has very deep soil, deep metals, flux stone, all this thing. What I'm going to do is I'm going to adventure around the map a bit. I'm going to find a place to settle, and then I'm going to explain why I have picked that place.
3 hours later.
Okay then, after a bit of a look around, this is where I have decided to settle, in the Decisive Jungles. We have little soil, which might be problematic. I would rather if we had more. However, we have shallow metal and flux stone layer. The shallow metal will allow me to, hopefully, show off some metalworking a bit earlier than normal. And where I've picked, we have the river, we'll have some vegetation, and we have some mountain regions here. Now, there is actually a way that you can, I think it's if you click F, you can actually start choosing, okay, so I want shallow metal, I also want deep metal, I don't want aquifers, I've turned off aquifers already. aquifers can cause trouble where you dig down into an aquifer and it floods your fortress. So quite often they will tell you for noob players to avoid aquifers. We also have, like I said, we have a brook called Flay Idle. How could you not settle in a place called Flay Idle? And also, the surroundings are calm. The last fortress that I had, just to kind of test out the stream, the first thing that happened on embarkation is a Wolverine man slaughtered my hunter. So there you go. E to embark. So we now have the option of actually picking our embarkation. We could pick all our items. We could pick our dwarves. We could give them skills. Again, something like you have in RimWorld. I'm just going to go for, that's the one that I usually play with, the easy start made for new players, just like me. I was going to tell us that all the embark points weren't assigned. Stop, leave me alone, you're frightening me. What this pre-built embark profile gives us is a proficient miner, another proficient miner who is also a weaponsmith, furnace operator, woodburner, and mechanic. We have a mason stone crafter. We have somebody that can do wood crafting, bone crafting, gem cutting, and gem setting. What have we here? A proficient grower, so this is basically our farmer. We have a novice woodcutter, and we have a novice ambusher. So this person is going to be our hunter. Look at all of those jobs. Look at all of those tasks that can be done. I'm just going to hit E to embark. It's going to tell us that there are some unspent points. I don't care. And we are going to set out for Gully Relic. That is our fort. It is called Gully Relic. We could have changed the name somewhere else. In the Dwarven tongue, it is Egguts Zaneg. Gully Relic. Strike the earth. A bit of an issue that I've been having of recent is that the game, when it comes to this menu just before embarkation, will crash, and it just crashed on me. So the Fortress of Gully Relic is gone. I have set up a fortress in the exact same position, the exact same place. It has been given a new name of Shove Vessels. Hopefully this time we will be able to strike the earth. And we have indeed. Now, if you've never seen Dwarf Fortress before, if you've never heard of it, you might look at this and say, why should I be excited about a game with graphics that look like they're 20 years old? The Lazy Newb Pack, which I'm using, has actually replaced the 20-year-old graphics with this, a 10-year-old graphics set. The premium release that we're looking at on the 6th of December, that's coming in the next couple of days, that's going to have a premium tile set, and it's going to have premium music. However, the game is going to remain completely free, minus that tile set and minus the music in what we called Dwarf Fortress Classic. The other thing that both Classic and Premium are going to do is they are going to update this mess. This isn't a tutorial. I'm not going to be going through what all of these do. You will hear me mumbling random letters to myself over time. You will hear me saying we're going to D and we're going to D. And generally what I'm doing there is designations and mining. Some of these I have never gone into in my life. Some of them I've gone into once or twice. If we press C, it'll bring up the entire world, the Dwarven Fortress of Shove Vessels. So you can see that we have indeed started in the exact same location that I started in before the game crashed. We can hit N down there in the bottom right to find rumors. We don't actually know any at the moment. So this is the old style menu, and it's hell sometimes, a lot of the time. Over 16 years of development, stuff has been tacked on, and some of it doesn't make any sense. Here we have our minimap on the right hand side. I press tab, goodbye minimap. And what I can now do, you can see, again here's reading matrix code, I can see, maybe it isn't entirely clear to you, a hen. You can see actually down in the bottom right hand corner, it will describe what is on the tile that you are hovering over. So there is a butcher, a dog, a rooster, and a gander, and some light grass. There is a ram. There is one of the most important creatures in existence, a cat. Here's the remains of our wagon that brought us here, and here are some of our dwarves and dogs. These are trunks of trees. These are ramps going up and down. Here's the grass, and here then we can see the walls of the mountain. I can press left and right to move along, basically, we'll call it the x-axis. I can press up and down to move along the y-axis. So left and right will take me east and west. Up and down will take me north and south. There is the river, Flay Idle, or the brook, Flay Idle. But this is what distinguishes the game from those that have come after it and that have attempted to emulate it, because games like, we'll say, RimWorld have not succeeded. I can press Shift and greater than to drop to the level below the one that we're on. Here we are 10 levels below where we started. And we can just keep going down and down and down and down and down. And of course we can go in the opposite direction as well. So we return to where we started. There is a short key for it, but I'm not actually too sure where it is. And we can move up and up and up, and we're seeing the trees. Okay, let's actually get something done. Here is the outside of our fort. Two very important menus that we're going to use will be B, to build things, and D, to designate things. You generally designate where something exists and you want to do something with it, and you build where something doesn't exist and you want to put something there. So we're in the D for designate menu. It has already highlighted T for chop down trees, which is fantastic. I move my cursor around the screen. You could do this with the mouse. I rather doing it this way. I'm going to hit enter. I'm going to hit shift and up to draw a square, basically. So mark out a wide area and then hit enter, and it has designated all of those trees to be chopped down. Next thing I'm going to do is look for an area that I might actually like to build into. So what I tend to do is I like to build into the mountain. So maybe just a small bit to the south of where we landed. I'm going to hit D again to go to mine. The bit there to the left that's flashing, that's telling us that if we mine out any of those blocks, that deep pond, so that's what the sevens mean, it's water, but it's deep water, that pond will basically flood. So we want to try and stay away from there. And I tend to work in 3x3 squares, or in 3 wide. Basically, I've made my whole 3 squares wide. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm going to hit escape. I'm going to hit space to resume. And finally, something happens. So we can see 2 dwarves are heading south to begin mining into the mountain. If we come up a level, we can't see anything because there is basically a roof. So they're mining along here. They're mining an entryway into the mountain. We're seeing trees are being chopped down. And what I might actually do, I don't usually do this, but we will go to build. We will go to, so these are all the things that we can build. Armor stands, beds, seats, burial receptacles. Very, very close to the top because, yeah, you'll be using a lot of those. I'm going to press W to bring up the workshop menu. And after a while, you will basically start to remember all of these. Or most of them, the ones that you use most commonly. And I'm going to press C to bring up a carpenter's workshop. Now it's a 3x3 area. I can't put it there because it's all X'd out. Some of the areas, we could put part of it here, we could put all of it here. So that's how that works. I wouldn't usually do this, but we'll set it up here. And we need to assign materials to it that it will use to actually build the workshop. So I am going to avocado wood logs. There you go. It needs one. So somebody with the Skill, so if I press Q, and the X is now hovering over the carpenter shop, and I've pressed Q to check its settings, it needs somebody with carpentry, with the carpentry skill, to come and actually build it. So if we see here, Q is set building tasks and preferences. All of this is being standardized by the premium game, the premium and the classic version that's coming out on the 6th of December. So when I say how inaccessible the game is, this is what I'm kind of talking about here on the right hand side. The menus are... everything is there, all the information is there, but it's rather difficult to even do some of the most basic and simple stuff. So somebody has gone to our carpentry store and they have completed it. We're now hovering over it, and so I've pressed Q to go into the carpentry workshop's settings, and you can see that we can add a new task. I'm going to press A, and here are all the things that our carpenter can build. I'm going to have him build, so I'm going to press V to build wooden barrels. So you can see there is construct wooden barrels. I was on O for a second, so V is construct wooden barrels. So we'll make a few of them. You know what? We'll have him make 10. Now we could do things like press OR to have him repeat a task, C to cancel a task. If I had different items, I could press P to promote a task upwards. Stuff like that is now going to be done with arrow keys. So the mouse is going to be a whole lot more usable. We can still use the mouse here, actually. We'll say to click on this guy, Mafall, ISO slogan, woodcutter. And down in the bottom right, it gives us some of the things that we can do with him. We can look at this is his general information. We can click I to look at his inventory. So tab to make that a bit wider. He's wearing yak leather trousers, cave spider silk dress on his upper body, pigtail robe on his upper body. He has a copper battle axe in his right hand. He has a sheep wool sock on his left foot and a pigtail shoe on his left foot. What does he have on his right foot? Pigtail shoe and sheep wool sock. So he has matching socks. That isn't always the case. So I think we can, if we click him again, yeah, now we have a different, so if we click on him twice, we can now hit enter, and we can see that we can check his relationships, we can check their relationships, we can hit enter to see their thoughts and preferences. I felled a tree. I am very satisfied. So Mafall, he feels satisfied after felling a tree. He is a casual worshipper of Ulut, which is a procedurally generated god. Just for this world alone. He is a citizen of the Imperial Town. He is a member of the Most Fellowship. He is a member of the Raw Vessel. He arrived at Tom Usaral on the 15th of Granite in the year 125, so that's our settlement. He has great intuition, good creativity, and a feel for music, but he has an iffy memory. He dreams of crafting a masterwork someday. I think the easiest thing to do is just press escape. Every single person in the game has stats like that generated for them. We have finished our little inward hallway. We're going to hit D again, and we're going to just move over in this direction. So what we're going to do is we are going to build, if we look up in the top right hand corner again, I'm going to hit U. No, I'm not. I'm going to hit J to build a down stair. So a stair, a styra that goes down, and we hit enter. So we've designated for a downstair to be built. I like to build them as 3x3s. It's a bit... is it wasteful? I don't know. What I'd like to do is put up a door here, kind of a drawbridge that we could close. What we're going to do now is we're going to go to underneath that downstair. So there's a stair that only goes down. It's in the name. We can now press I, so I've pressed D to designate I to build an up-down stair. Ooh. And we go in a 3x3, and I go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And we hit enter. And what that has done is it has designated how many ever levels, I can't remember, 7 levels of up-down stairs to be built. So these guys have basically dug into the side of the mountain and dropped. The other thing that I'm going to do, just to get this up and running, is we're going to go to mine. And I usually do it this way. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then... So this is for traders. This is going to be a trader depot. And the traders need a 3x3 area to get through. They need a 5x5 area to set up their depot. They can't use stairs. Well, I was going to say the silly bastards, but they have oxes. So that probably makes sense. They have oxen pulling the wagon. You could channel a ramp going downwards, down a couple of floors for them to get in. I generally like the idea that the elves and the dwarves and the human traders that arrive at our settlement, they come in here, they park up here, and they don't get to see the wider fort. Some of the traders will. They'll go down into our taverns and things, but most of them, they will stay up here, and all of the goods will be brought up the stairs to them. And they can only wonder at what must be going on deep below the surface of shove vessels. So our dwarves have finished there. They've now headed for the stairs, and you can see that they're at the top of the stairs, basically mining down. I'm going to go to build again, and I know that it is Shift D to build a trade depot. Look at that, it's put it in the exact place where we were, so I am going to hit place. And now we get to decide. It's one of the only things I've ever seen that requires more than one item. Custard apple wood. Avocado wood. So I'm using the plus and minus keys on the right of the keyboard to go up and down through that menu, to scroll through that menu. And what else do we put in here? Sure, limestone. Now you can see here at the bottom we're getting some pop-ups. You have struck clear zircon, and if we press A, it gives us announcements. I'm going to come back out here a second. We still have our woodcutter cutting down trees. If we look at how a lot of those barrels have been produced, and he's active on producing one at the moment. If we actually look, will it tell us what these trees are? Not really. Now, the reason that we would want to know what the trees are is maybe to go and use them for plants. So we're going to see how we do that now in a second. What we're going to do is we are going to designate, I'm giving you a bit of a hint there as to where we're going to go. We're going to designate an area for our animals. So we need to put our animals. We have a couple of animals. We have a donkey, and we have a couple of other things. We'll see what we have now in a couple of... We can press U. Here's one of those crazy menus. We can press U. We can see that pets and livestock, we have 2 stray horses, we have a turkey gobbler, we have a couple of turkey hens, we have drakes, ducks, roosters, hens, rams, ewes, hunting dogs. On the map, somewhere, there is a rattlesnake and a Tiracell peregrine. And then we have our citizens. So we need to designate an area for our animals. Like I said, I'm giving you a bit of a hint as to what menu we're going to go into. So what we're going to do is we're going to hit D. We're going to see that what we're looking for is not in that menu. So we're going to hit escape, and we're going to go to I for zones. We're going to... We'll mark out a big enough... There you go. We'll mark out that as our zone. And now you can see in the right-hand side it's saying that this could be a gather, pick fruit area, a garbage dump, a pen pasture. It could be a lot of different things. We're going to hit N to turn it into a pen pasture, and Control N, or Shift N I should say, to assign animals to it. So we will assign the ewe, the ram, the horse, and the horse. And escape. Now it's active, so somebody's actually going to come along and start doing that in a moment. The other thing I'm going to do is hit I again, so it brings up where the that last zone was. And we'll make a very big area, and I am going to set that to G. So they're going to gather fruit from there, and we could do Shift G to tell it pick fruit from trees, pick berries, pull tubers, so we could turn that stuff on or off. Now, How do you pick fruit from trees? Surely they can just do that. No. No. We need to create something for them to be able to get fruit from the tree. So what would you need to get fruit from a tree? You've gone to a lime tree, you've all these limes, you're holding them all in your hand. How do I hold all of these limes? Well, obviously, that doesn't make a difference if you don't have a stepladder to climb the lime tree and get the limes. We're going to build some stepladders. So they cannot get to the trees unless you have stepladders. Oh, goddamn this game. Let's see how our miners have done. They told us we hit zircon at some stage. I don't actually see it. What we will do very quickly, we're going to dig up in that direction. We can hit X and designate an area to be unmined. I'm not too sure what we might actually need to... That's fine for now. That's fine for now. So what I'm basically going to try and do is dig in this direction to get close to... There's soil in this region, and that will allow us to grow things indoors. We can grow things outdoors as well, but who wants to do that? We'll come down to pretty much the bottom level that we have at the moment, and I'm also going to designate that to be dug out. And at the end of it, I will put a large 11 by 11 building. So I was wrong. I imagine this is the zircon that they were talking about. Now, where are we here? We're about 3 levels below the ground. We'll put in another hallway here. And we'll mine in this direction so that we might actually see what's going on. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put a big 10 by 10 room here. And then next to it... Now, a lot of people have kind of ways that they like to play the game, but this is going to be our level where I'm going to start setting up manufacturing. So I'm keeping it close to the stairs. This is going to be a huge storeroom, and in here we're going to move our carpenter's workshop. We're going to have masons, jewel cutters. This is where we're going to put a lot of our actual industry, and they are going to feed into this stockpile here. So our carpenter has finished building the barrels, building the step ladders. We're going to give him a new task. Where the hell is it? So if we scroll way down here, or we could have just pressed N to build a bin. And we're going to build as many of those as we can. These are going to be very important to us. Now we can see one of our farmers is running around. I don't know what's he at. It's entirely possible that he has the stepladder. So he's picking stuff up. Off screen, I'm using a thing called Dwarf Therapist, which comes with the Lazy Newb Pack, which is something that aims to kind of minimize the inaccessibility of the game to a degree. And what I'm using that for is I'm using it to assign jobs to people, much the same way that you would in RimWorld. You will tell them, yes, you can do this job, and you're able to see how good they are at it, what their skill level is. So I can check all that in a different menu to the one that's here in the game. I have no idea how to find it, and I am terrified to even go and look for it. Okay, so I was spot on with my theory that we were coming close to a soil wall. So you can see here is a soil floor, here is a stone floor, here is a soil wall. So what I'm going to do, we're going to keep it away from that water. Sure, we'll do that to start with. And we'll put a little door there, and then, there you go. So now our dwarves have moved deeper down into the fort. They're about 4 levels below the surface, and you can see that we have found rough, clear zircons. So these are things that we will be able to, they're gems that we will be able to take to the gem house and clean them, do something with them. You can see that we actually have different types of wall. Here is diorite, and here then is sandstone. So we're actually cutting into a sandstone area of the fort. And materials or items made of different materials will look different to each other. Smoothed walls will look different depending on where the wall is or what part of the fort the wall is. The geology in the game is absolutely incredible. The amount of different items that you have. It's not that you mine down and you find metal. In one of my last forts, I found very rich metal ore deposits on the surface and all the ways down through the fort. All the weapons that I'm going to be able to make with this metal. So it was sulfurite. Or sapphirite. And when smelted, it made bars of zinc, which could not be used for armor or weapons. And then a blind cave troll came up from the caverns and wiped out half the population of my fort. Fun was had. It's actually getting a bit hard to see, but over here on the left, a corner has been cleared out. I am going to hit B to build, W to workshop, M to mason, M to mason. And I am going to place a mason there. Sure, let's build it out of sandstone. So we just saw our mason arrive and complete this mason's workshop. I'm going to hit A. And what will we start with? So here's the list of things that he can make, and if I hit C, it will make a rock throne. That's basically a chair. So I'll cancel one of those, and then I will hit T for table, T for table. Something else that we should actually do, because I just see it might start causing a bit of a problem. I want to designate a stockpile. So I'm going to designate, we can see around here our cats have been killing vermin. And they're leaving the remains around the place, and that's going to cause some unhappiness, and we're also going to have to sort that out later on. So I want to designate a stockpile. So we hit D to designate. We realize that that's the incorrect menu. We hit escape, and we hit P for stockpile. And in the top right, we have all the different options that we can put on this stockpile. I'm going to hit OR to turn it into a refuse stockpile. And we'll put it down here. It does actually need to be quite big. So, sure, we'll put that there. And that is a refuse stockpile. We can hit Q to examine its settings, S to change those settings, and we can actually manually assign things. So at the moment it's taking refuse, and again this is going to look like the stockpiles that you see in things like RimWorld, and the depth. So you can make very precise stockpiles. Maybe you don't want all refuse going in here, and we actually don't. We will later on want a stockpile that will take bones and shells, and we can use them to craft items or to improve items. And of course, we might want to say, I don't want giant crackle bones, just crackle bones, but not giant crackle bones. And we could actually, here's basically all the things that you could have bones from. Crowman, giant snowy owl, kakapo. Our poor dwarves, one of them is sleeping inside in this area that we have just mined out. He's after waking up. We're going to make a new stockpile. I'm going to make it F for food. I'm going to put it in this building here. I'm going to escape, Q, and S. We come down to food. And what I can now do is I can B to block all and just allow seeds. Nothing else. That is all that this room is going to build. Now we can build a farm. B to build, P for farm plot. And what we'll do is we'll come down to here, we'll hit enter, we'll move out and down, we'll hit enter again, and that will designate a farm plot in that area. No, it won't, you moron. That's not how you designate farm plots. There's a completely different method. I think this is, other than the world setting out at the start, this is the only other place where I have seen U to increase the size of the farm, K to increase the width, and H and M to decrease the height and decrease the width. We'll put that there. We'll make another one next to it. So these have to be built on a soil layer. Now you might be wondering, why are we placing these on the ground? Don't ask questions like that. So we see a number of people running downstairs, and they have started putting bags of seeds into the stockpile. We have sweet pod seeds and pigtail seeds. A farmer has come down and has actually started constructing the farms. We can now press Q to hover over them. And if we see down in the bottom right, we have A for spring selected. Plump helmets. Now we press B to tell it what to grow in summer. I think we'll go with, how about plump helmets? C for autumn. Ooh, plump helmets. And D for winter. We go with dimple. No, plump helmets. Then we can press Q and we can come over to the second farm. What we'll do here is, because we have some, we'll put on sweet pods. Pigtails. We'll go with cave wheat because I don't know if we have pigtails on the next one. And I very rarely ever see dimple cups, so we'll go with plump helmets in the winter. So those things that we just saw there can only be grown underground. If we come above ground and make a farm plot, so P for farm plot, we'll make it. So you can end up in scenarios like this where you've pressed the wrong button and you're inside in a stockpile menu and you don't actually realize it. B for buildings, P for farm plot, U to expand, M? No. K to make it wider. And if I move around, you'll see as it goes over stony soil, it's telling me like we can't build a farm plot here inside the door of the fort. So we'll build it here. It's telling us at the moment that we don't really have plump helmet spawn or anything. That's fine. We'll deal with all that later on. Our farmer is going down to start working on this area, and we actually have no seeds at all for here, so we actually have no options at all for growing anything at this location. Now, how we could get some seeds is we can go to D for designate, P for gather plants, and let's gather some stuff. Our poor stonemason is bringing stuff to his workshop. He's not going for the nearest stones to him, he's going for the ones furthest away because he's an idiot. B to build, W to workshop, C to carpenter's workshop. Make it out of sandstone, and J, I believe, for jewelers. So people have started in there. I think he's actually going to clear out. There we go. We've cleared out that storage. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit P and to bring up stockpiles. F for food, which is not what I want. U for furniture. And our mason and our carpenter are going to be building a lot of furniture. So do you know what? I think half of this place is probably going to be assigned. We'll put it to there. That's going to be assigned for furniture. Is it W for wood? It is indeed. So we're going to create a wood stockpile down here. I'm going to create a gem stockpile right next to it. And we can actually keep that very narrow. So we can see here in our gem stockpile settings, lowercase c, lowercase v, uppercase C, uppercase V, max number of bins. So we were making some bins in our carpentry workshop there a while ago. If we have a 2x5, so 10 square stockpile, and we put a gem into that stockpile, that gem takes up 1 space. If we put a bin in there, we can then put 10 gems into the bin. So, I think. So, by having 10 bins, we could store up to 100 uncut gems in this area. So if we press C, it'll decrease the number of bins we want, V will increase, and capital C will decrease it to 0, capital V will increase it to the max. So we want to try and put bins in as many places as we can. We're going to go into the settings, we're going to come down to gems, and we're going to forbid cut gems. And then we're going to do much the same in the other area. We're going to create a small little gem stockpile here. We will go into the settings, we will come down to gems, and we will turn off rough gems and rough glass. And have we built this place? We have a jeweler's workshop created. So I'm going to hit A to assign some tasks. We have clear zircon, sandstone, limestone, gabbro, so it can actually cut the stone as well. We're just going to click on C to have it cut the clear zircon, and then I'm going to hit OR, and it will continue repeating that task until we are out of zircon. Way down in the bowels of the fort, we've hit something. Tanzanite. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press D, and this is again to show you maybe the sophistication of the simulation. We're going to mine out an area, but if you watch down here in the bottom right, designating all. So I'm going to hit A, auto mining or gems. And I'm just going to tell it, I'm just going to tell my miners, that one. That's it. I don't want you to mine anything else, just that one. And before I forget, I'm going to hit A couple more times, so we go back to designating all, and we'll see what they do. So it has taken the devils a bit of time. I only assigned this one square to be mined, but after he finished it, he mined this one as well. Auto mining. So this is a thing that you have in RimWorld, where there's compact machinery here. You tell somebody to mine it, and then you see that there's more compact machinery behind it. And then you have to go back and tell them to keep mining or steal or something like that. And they have to kind of keep returning as you keep seeing how far back the vein goes. With this, you can actually order them, in Dwarf Fortress, you can order them to auto-mine a vein. So one of the dwarves came in here, mined this square, and then mined every square adjacent to it that had ore. In this case, it was just, or a gem. In this case, it was just the one square. But if he had discovered more gems here, he would have kept mining and mining and mining and mining. And when you go down deeper and deeper and deeper, and there are massive veins, that is very helpful. So we have this room now that we've kind of ever so slightly wrecked by knocking out a corner of the wall. I'm going to hit I to designate it as a zone. This is one of the early important zones, and we are going to set it as an M for meeting hall. We're going to see a massive cavalcade of hens and people and cats in a couple of minutes. This is now the main meeting hall of the fort. And you know what? It is looking a bit bare. So what we can do is we can go to B for build. We can go to C for, I don't think we have any chairs yet. We do, we have a couple of chairs. So we're going to build a chair. So these are the chairs that have been made by our carpenter. Now we place them, and this is how we place them by our carpenter, by our mason. So we're going to place the chair there, and it gives us the option. Which one of the 5 chairs would you like to place here? Because maybe you're going to get very particular at some stage. You only want a certain type of chair in a certain type of place. It will tell you the quality of the chairs. Maybe you only want a specific one. And maybe you want a high quality chair for a high quality person. And we'll place all those chairs there. Now it's telling us that we have no more. And we will go and place some tables. I should have tried to line up the tables with the with the same material that they're made from. So now people are going to go back up and they're going to start hauling. Here come the drakes and the geese. People are going to start hauling tables in, and people are going to sit at those tables and eat their food. So I'm just working on food production at the moment, and the game has paused and I have gotten a bit of a pop-up. Some migrants have arrived. Now I don't know how you would actually do this in Dwarf Fortress, but I'm going to bring this up on Dwarf Therapist. So at the moment it's telling me that we have 7 dwarves in the fortress. And if I press read, it's now telling me that we have 11. We've 11 adults and 2 children for 13 in total. That's what that means. So before we unpause, you can see maybe down here at the bottom right hand side, it's saying that we have 7. So I think this is their happiness level. And when I unpause now, it might change. Oh, it's going up. We're up to 8, we're up to 9, we're up to 10. So I'll be able to check what these people are actually good at. We now have 4 miners. We have 4 miners, and we have a couple of other new arrivals. We have a thresher who's going to be good for our food industry. I'm just looking around. Oh no. We're missing somebody vitally important to the survival of the colony. I don't know how we managed to miss them, but I had forgot to appoint, or actually there was nobody who started who was able to fish. So we have that position now created at a very opportune moment in time. I'm creating here a food stockpile. I'm going to remove the stockpile around the up stair there to the left of the cursor. I'm going to hit Q and we're going to go into this and we are going to forbid everything. No food. Prepared food only. So we now have 2 food stockpiles in what's going to become our kitchen. To the right is unprepared food, to the left is prepared food. We hit build to go to workshops, and is it K for clothier shop? That's not what we want. It's Z. Obviously it's Z for kitchen, you fool. I think it's S for still. No, it's S for siege workshop. Stills are L's. And while we have one, or as we have one, let us put in a H for a fishery. Now it's taken a bit of time. We can still see the fishery workshop at the top is flashing. So we need somebody with the fishery skill to come and actually construct the fishery workshop. However, we have gotten the still up and running. And I'm going to order one of our brewers. I have 2 of them at the moment. To brew drink from plant. And we're going to hit OR. And then we'll come down to the kitchen. And we will create 3 easy meals. Now, the problem with... I won't say the problem. There we see our miner, who's one of our brewers. He's just brought some plump helmets to the still. And he's run away. He's gone getting a barrel. So there he goes to the still. Again, it's like reading Matrix code. There he is. And if it's actually showing up. So he's brewing away, and then he will take the... No, he won't. He will just dump the barrel of beer on the floor. Somebody else will take it to the stockpile. And then we have here, I don't know if you can see it, an up stair, a stair going up. And if I get this right, that goes to here and feeds... Well, at the moment, everyone has, in our meeting hall, has easy access down the stair to the prepared food. They can see all the work going on in the kitchen, but they can just ignore it. What I will do later on is I'm actually going to put a stockpile, a beer stockpile, drink stockpile surrounding this stair, and I will appoint a tavern master. I'm going to convert this into a tavern. Again, don't get scared, or we can be scared together. We press Z to bring up this menu. It's telling us there in the bottom left that we have about 100 food? Question mark? And what that means is that we don't have a broker with the appraisal skill. That's not the one that we need. We need somebody, I think it's a manager, who will actually go around and give us detailed stocks of everything, but we estimate that we have 40 plants, 50 seeds, and 40 drink. Now, if I move across the top, so we're on animals at the moment. If we move to kitchen and hit enter, here's all of the things that we can cook and brew with. And what we want to do is so custard apples, we just want to brew with them. So I'm going to click C. Well, it doesn't really make a difference. But the main one is plump helmets. I'm not too sure is it the case any longer, but it used to be, in the olden days, that if you cook something from plump helmets, you get plump helmet food. If you brew something from plump helmets, you get plump helmet drink and plump helmet spawn that you can replant to get more plump helmets. So you generally don't want your cooks cooking with plump helmets. That might have changed. I'm not too sure. Now we need to press tab to go to seeds. I don't want you cooking with any of the seeds. And you could actually order them to cook with drink as well. And here then is our meat, fish, and other. So we have alpaca milk, goat's milk, cow's milk, donkey milk, horse milk, llama milk, pig milk, reindeer milk, sheep, and yak milk. Fantastic. In its most basic form, Dwarf Fortress does not contain any method for you to copy a room. I think there's macros introduced by some modders which might allow you to do that, but this is another thing that's going to be expanded upon in the Steam version of Dwarf Fortress. We're going to see the ability, much like you would with, I'm trying to think, Prison Architect for one, that you can take an entire region, basically copy it and plant it down somewhere else. What I've done here is I've manually had to lay out 20 bedrooms, 20 3x3 rooms, and this will serve as our sleeping quarters. Another thing that we could have done is actually created a dormitory, but I usually just leave them. I get the booze up and running. Most important thing. The dwarves don't actually need water. The first time that I played this game after a couple of years, I played it there a few days ago, just getting back into the game, my dwarves all died of dehydration. If you get to a stage where your dwarves are drinking water, you have failed miserably. They don't need water. All they need is alcohol. Probably why I like Dwarf Fortress so much. It speaks to me on a deep level. Here on our construction floor, so this is where most of our workshops are going to go. I've expanded the working area a small bit. I've put in a Crafts Dwarfs workshop. They were producing mugs and goblets for the people in our meeting hall. They're now on nest boxes. We'll get back to that in a minute. You can see here in our furniture stores, we have some step ladders. Those are step ladders. We have doors. We have a trader, a caravan from Thalamost has arrived. What perfect timing. Thanks for interrupting me. So this lad's going to do a couple of things. We can actually see him over there to the right. I almost missed him. There he is. That's the caravan. So there is 2 horses leading the wagon. There is Dauber, and he is just passing by. Will it tell me what this is? A colony of honeybees. So we could actually get... There's a colony of ants. I don't think they give honey, do they? We could use the honeybees to make mead. So that's something else we can get up and running. So that wagon is basically going to park itself in there in our meeting hall. Our trade depot hall. And what I need to do is, if we look over here at this menu, I need to hit N to appoint nobles and administrators, and I need to come down to, where's it got to? Broker. And we need to appoint a broker. Quite often it's the expedition leader. And if we see here, Dastot, is a novice negotiator, novice judge of intent, novice appraiser, novice conversationalist. We will select them. I'm going to drop down a few levels. So here's our farm level. Here's our workshop level. And here is our bedroom level. B to build. D to door. And what you could do then is what I would usually do is I would just go one by one. And again, we're hopefully going to see this kind of expanded upon in the game that's coming out in just a few days' time. The premium version and the classic version of Dwarf Fortress. So this is all going to be updated. And now we hit B in the build menu to build a bed. And again, we have all these different beds that we can pick from. So that will be 5 bedrooms. Once all that is done, 5 bedrooms will be created. We can put containers and coffers in there. We can put furniture in there that will improve the standard of the room. So again, it's a bit like RimWorld. It's something that RimWorld has kind of expanded upon, is that rooms have a status, they have a reputation. Some people like certain types of bedrooms. If nobles arrive at your colony in RimWorld, they will want bigger bedrooms. I wonder where they got that from. There's no goal in Dwarf Fortress other than to have a baron or maybe even the king or queen arrive at your fort from the mountain homes. It's basically the royalty DLC for RimWorld. Bob Akrul Koeb, he is the liaison from Mountain Homes, so he's not the merchant that we saw. He will share information with us, so we'll just click A for a second. What requests do you have of our merchants? So he's going to be back in a year's time. What do we want him to bring with us? I think the trading menu is probably one of the most terrifying things. I'm going to hit shift and right to increase the priority of leather. Sure, bring me some leather. I'm going to go down through the menu and we'll say seeds. I'm going to keep going down and I'm going to tell him that I would be very interested in drink, cheese. And if we say meat, do you know what? There's only one type of meat that I want. There's only one type of meat that I want. That is prepared honeybee brain. You get me as much prepared honeybee brain as you can bring with you. And lobsters. Well, all fish. And plants. And garden vegetables. And other than that, I think we're A-okay. So here's more stuff that we could get. We could tell him to bring sheets, and this would be parchment sheets, and we could actually start making books. We're going to say we're done. We'll hit escape. So he has now prepared documents, and he's going to tell us how much over the base price he's going to offer us. Things like dingo leather, and 100% for pigtail cloth, because we didn't tell him to bring us any extra. 150% for some of the other stuff. So that's fine. Finish the conversation. Yeah, sure, whatever. Oh god, it's still going. Now he's going to tell us what he wants us to provide him the next time round. He will offer us 199% for splints. Okay, that's interesting. And he's not really interested in figurines. They're interested in warhammers. Just go away. So he's finished with the trading. What we'll do quickly before we deal with the trading, just as that fifth door is brought in, we're going to designate these bedrooms as bedrooms. So we go to our D menu for designate. That's the wrong menu. Obviously, we're setting up zones. So we go to I, and we realize that's also the wrong menu. Q. We hover over the bed, and you can see there in the top right-hand corner, it says Make Bedroom. We hit OR, and that's how you designate a bedroom. Completely different to how you would designate a meeting hall, or how you would designate an area to be mined or to be planted. Here is our trade depot, and we can see that the traders have arrived. That's what it looks like when traders have arrived. So we're going to hit Q, and because the closest thing to us is down here, so if we move away from there, that stuff in the top right hand corner will disappear. So what we can do is we can move goods to from depot. So we're going to press, I'm reading the stuff off the top right hand corner, we're going to press G, and we could move every single thing in the fort here. Let's not do that. Let's not. We could move all our fish. We could move all of our small cut gems. So I will hit enter. Nah, we won't bring the large cut gems. I don't think we really have anything else that we want to trade at the moment. We're going to keep all those cups and things. And the plus, the minus, the 3 minuses, the asterisks next to all those things is the quality. I can never remember which one's which. But those are all mugs of different quality. So yeah, it looks like we're just going to be trading. We're just going to be trading the gems. So we're going to wait for somebody to go down and to basically pick up the bins of gems that we have and bring them. There is one. I actually think that might be all that we have. So what we will do is Q again, and you can see that we will press T to trade. We can't. Why can't we trade? Because there's no trader here. Our broker, Dastot, Nis Gax Horsat. We will press OR to request their presence at the trade depot. And we should see them shoot up the stairs at some stage. Somebody has just shot in there. So if I press Q again, yeah, it's telling us that they're there because the trade menu has now become available. Just prepare yourself. Just make sure you're sitting down. If you need to, pause right here and get yourself a strong whiskey. Just prepare yourself. I'm going to press T. So this is the trade menu. On the left is all the stuff that they're willing to trade to us. On the right is all the stuff that we are willing to trade. They have gold bars. What I am looking for, we do have a search menu, but or a search option. Do you know what? I don't care less. I welcome the anarchy. I welcome the anarchy. Okay, it's 1,000 for a steel puzzle box. I do like buying puzzle boxes. For the kids. The kids can be messing around with the puzzle boxes. We can get cages. We can get... Okay, here's what we want. Yes, honeybee venom barrel. Wait, what? Is honeybee venom a drink? I actually don't know. I'm confused. Dwarven ale barrel. And the barrel is made of plumwood. Water buffalo milk. Do you know what? Yeah, sure. If they die, that's their own fault. Reindeer's milk barrel. Dwarven rum. So pecan wood barrel is a barrel made of pecan wood. It's not that there's pecans in there. They have milk, more wine, beer. They have an unmerciful amount of clothing. There is sweet pod seeds, cave wheat, sheep wool. How do you plant sheep wool? Oh no, it's a bag made of sheep wool. Okay. Cave wheat seeds bag. Pigtail, I think we're okay for that. Dwarven sugar bag. Dwarven sugar? I've never heard of dwarven sugar. They have a ton of cloth. And now we're down into the meat. We will take some cougar meat. We will take prepared slug eye. Absolutely. Goat liver. Chopped goat liver. Perfect. That's what you want. None of this makes an ounce of difference. It's all just going to be made into meals. It doesn't matter. Emu meat. We will take some cave lobster, I will take a fish. Sure. Now this is kind of what we mostly want. There's more stuff in here. Purple amaranth. Oh, there's so much. We've gone way overboard. with what we're taking from here. Alpaca cheese, absolutely. It's just, the man in the wagon comes along and you're like, I'm not going to buy anything. Yak cheese, absolutely. Give me as much yak cheese as you have. You just get excited, and they know that, and they take advantage. They take advantage. Native aluminium book bindings. And we're back to the start. Okay. We're in a position where we could just sell 2,000. So here is basically the price of how much all our stuff is worth. And we're, at the moment, the trader is in a loss of 1,090. These are all cut gems. So he's into a profit of 35. He's into a profit of 160. T to trade. He's happy. He's delighted. He's taken it. And there you go. Everything has been traded. We can click... I think we can click... what I usually do is I just leave the stuff here until... Because I have no idea what I'm supposed to do in that menu. Or no trader is requested. And now we have vastly more food than we know what to do with. Over there on the right-hand corner, he's just left, but if we hover over these rooms again, we can see that they're assigned to nobody. Mafal, Isos Logum, our woodcutter, has claimed a bedroom. So you basically assign the bedrooms, and people will come and they will claim them as they so need them. Our stonecutter is taking stone upstairs to craft it into more things. There's a kid playing with something up in the top left inside in the bar. We drop down into our kitchen. I'm creating nest boxes. We're going to line this wall and this wall and this wall with nest boxes, and we're going to put all our chickens in here. And we'll have them laying eggs. We'll be able to use those eggs to cook food, because God help us, we don't have enough after that last trade caravan. There is so much that I haven't even gotten anywhere near to showing. I didn't find any metal, which I was hoping I would, and I could maybe set up some metal smithing. There wasn't a hope. I've kind of gotten the bare bone basics of the fort up and running. I've put a farmer's workshop in here, actually. So what we can do is we can process plants, we can make cheese, we can have them milk animals. And what's the other one? Shear animals. So they will milk and shear the animals outside. That will provide raw resources for our food and for our production. We can put in a butcher station, and we can have them butcher animals. We'll put somebody back on brewing. So there they go. Somebody's gone back brewing to keep the barrels in this location full, because they're beginning to go down a bit. This is the type of game that once you play it for a while and you get everything kind of up and running, you could pretty much walk away from it, let it run for a couple of hours, come back. You will get pop-ups every once in a while that will pause the game. That's the only thing. But you could leave it for a while, come back after a couple of hours, and find that everyone in the fortress has killed each other. But until they killed each other, you'll find that it kind of operated nice and efficiently until that moment where they all went mad and slaughtered anyone that they could get their hands on. I hope from this simple, if you've never seen this before, I hope from this simple and crazed bit of a playthrough that you've seen maybe some of the influences that this game has had on games that you know and love, from RimWorld to Crusader Kings 3, and all of the games that RimWorld has inspired, all of the games that Prison Architect has inspired. They all have their roots here in Dwarf Fortress. I hope you can also see why this game has been crying out for the attention that Kitfox is giving to it. They are the publishers. They're the ones that are going to be publishing it on Steam. Tarn and Zach Adams, the devs, have done a tremendous job working on this for 16 years, but they have been kind of tacking things on. And you've seen the way setting out farm plots, setting out bedrooms, setting out a meeting hall, and setting out a still are completely different things, quite often very confusing. If the depth and complexity can be maintained, and I've no doubt it will be, I can't see why it can't be. If the depth and complexity can be maintained when this comes to Steam, it's going to be an exciting period ahead for the stories that people are going to tell. If you look at the things like Krug Smash and Hoodie Hair, who's recently started making content on YouTube, I've shown you a lot of the kind of the bowels of the system. Quite often, those people will play with that. They won't even play. They will describe the stories. So I've shown you the mechanics, mostly to show you kind of where the inspirations come from, where the systems that you've seen in RimWorld and things like this come from. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you've never heard of not RimWorld, but if you've never heard of Dwarf Fortress before, I hope it has elicited some interest, and that you will take a look at the game when it becomes available on Steam. If you've enjoyed this, leave a comment below, and I might continue on. I'll be continuing on with this fort anyway, until it inevitably collapses into ruin. But yeah, there you go. Thank you for visiting my fort. Thank you for having a drink in the meeting hall. Thank you for striking the earth. And hopefully I'll see you again in future when a giant blind cave ogre comes up through the middle of the fort and wipes everyone out. As it inevitably will.